Hello. Good morning, everybody. Morning, I think everybody, generally speaking, I think more fresh, isn't it? I think it's those people who spend very late night, some music or some dance like that, then perhaps at this moment may feel sleep. So indeed, I feel great honor and very happy having this opportunity. Now this session, one session morning, one session afternoon, uh, explanation about one particular text. This text, wrote by one great Indian Buddhist master, a Buddhist philosopher, who invited by a Tibetan, was it then? I think Tibetan king. Then already is a Tibet disintegrated. It's a very small kingdom in the western part of Tibet. I think 10th century, around 10th century, 11th century. So now before such a teaching according to that book, firstly, usually I do the introduction of Buddhism. In order to carry that, what is religion? What is spirituality? I usually is telling or explaining. And what is relevant to today's world? So these things are sort of the questions. So firstly, spirituality. I usually make a distinction. One, spirituality with belief, with faith. Another spirituality not necessarily based on faith, but simply use our common sense and our common experience and the nowadays latest scientific finding. That means here, we born from our mother. I think yesterday I briefly mentioned, Lama. I think those people who attended yesterday's our talk raise hand. Then those people who did not come yesterday, new, raise hand. I cannot see clearly. Okay. Okay. So, quite a major portion did not attend yesterday. So then, no danger to repeat these things. Otherwise, you may feel boring. So we, everybody, you see, come from our mother's womb. Everybody have mother. Generally speaking, all we received maximum affection from our mother, with mother's own milk. So not only human being, but other mammals like dogs, cats, or mice, or different sort of, was it the other animal uh, whose life start from mother's care, mother's affection, and also some many birds similar. You see, they are at, the initial life, they totally, their existence, their sort of survival entirely depend on others' care, mainly mother's care. Birds, I also should notice is some birds, that the mother, even you see, willing to sacrifice her own life in order to save their eggs or their children, like that. So, many sort of the species, you see, their survival at the initial stage entirely depend on others' care, others' affection. Their care, you see, come from emotional level, tremendous sort of affection. Without that, that kind of effort will not come. So this is our common experience. Then, I think here, few thousand people, I think those people who received maximum sort of care or affection from their mother, I think rest of life, in deep insight, the traces of that sort of also the experience are still there. So such people generally more happier, more self-confidence than those people who at early age lack of affection from our mother, or sometimes without a mother, or sometimes you see parent abuse. Then such people later outwardly very successful life, but in deep inside there's some traces is a sense of insecurity, fear. So as a result, such people, I think, difficult to develop trust with other people. Always little fear, prefer remain distance. So often lonely feeling comes. So that's our common experience. Then if we use also the objectively observe our neighbors, those neighbors is who have real human friendship and affection. No matter wealthy family or poor family, such family much happier. I think even so, another person enter such family's house. As soon as you reach there, some kind of everywhere a smile, everywhere affection. Although they may not provide some sort of because of the religious thing, but still you feel very happy, and you fond. Often visit such family. Then when another family of furnitures, very expensive, very correct, elaborate way, and a big building in the front of the house, big car, looks very good, very beautiful. But inside, lack of that affection. Even within the family member, a little distrust or jealousy. Then the sort of the big house, big facility, good facility cannot produce affection, or even use a lot of decoration. And the person also is to wear some the diamond ring, diamond ring. No ability to show affection, no ability to reduce trust, or no, reduce fear and increase trust. So, not only those family member in that home, little uneasiness, but even some visitors come. I think as soon as enter the house and then begin to chat, you feel, oh yeah, some problems there, something wrong. So then I think the visitor, quite clever, then look, watch. Now I have another engagement. I have to go. So spend even a few more minutes, looks hours. Oh, very difficult to pass the time. So as soon as you reach outside, you feel some kind of relief, isn't it? It happened like that. I myself also sometimes, in particular, when I was in Tibet and also in Peking and some different places, when we met some sort of officials, in deep inside some kind of anxiety, then really time passes very difficult. Then come outside, then you express like that. So this is a common experience. So therefore, it's the human warm-heartedness here. Human friendship is something very essential. We need friend. Friend, what is the causes of genuine genuine friendship is, human affection. Trust. Trust comes from affection. If you really care, take care others' well-being, then there's nothing to hide and transparent. And you speak truthfully, honestly, transparent. That creates trust. Trust brings friendship. So we are social animals. We need friends. So how can develop friendship, as I mentioned earlier? Not just money, not power. Sometimes money, power may destroy friendship, like that. And also, it is not just mere education. A wonderful, educated person, but unhappy person. Of course, I cannot mention the person's name. I had some experience, some sort of chancellor or president of big university. I quite often used to visit or give talk. So one occasion, one chancellor, a big university, after we the initial greetings, nice words, then he expressed his real feeling. And I noticed, big name, certainly has a good salary, economic condition very good, certainly very educated person, but as a human being, unhappy person. So education fail, bring inner peace. Some my friend, brain is concerned, very, very sort of brilliant, always get a high mark. Then eventually, has a heartbreaking survey. Simple, truly. Nervous down. Oh, it's too much smart here without well balanced other value. Sometimes you see the knowledge also you see create some problems. Then the scientific finding. Since last 30 years, I had sort of serious sort of dialogue or talk with scientists, and mainly four fields: cosmology, neurobiology, and physics, particularly like quantum physics, then psychology. So then, gradually, I had number of sort of well-known scientists. We sort of serious discussions and also, you see, casual talks. So therefore, you see, these scientists, you see, in order to get how to say, healthy body, physical health, the mental state, peaceful, calm mental state is very, very crucial. Too much fear, too much anger, too much hatred is actually eating our immune system. A more calm mind, blood circulation, all these things very normal. And agitated mind, too much sort of, usually we call destructive emotion, then is very bad for our health. Like that. So nowadays, or recent years, is some professors, some scientists, they actually carry sort of further research work. This calm mind, how much effect on their body. So they found very sort of significant sort of result or findings. Even in short period, say 3 weeks, some kind of training, mind. Before that training, check blood pressure and amount of stress. After 3 weeks, each day, about half an hour, like that, some training, some sort of awareness, discuss about these inner value of compassion, these things. So after 3 weeks, they again test blood pressure and some other things. They significantly, you see, reduce, blood pressure reduce, and stress much reduce. As a result, the person become much happier. So these are now scientifically, how say they found these sort of evidence now clear. So therefore, use our common sense. Everybody take care about our body, about our physical health. Sometimes I jokingly, little teasing those young ladies who spend a lot of money about cosmetic. Here in the front line, most of you are like my age. I think when, of course, with respect, may I say so, you see those those old lady, when you are young, I think you also spend a lot of money for these things. So I usually telling people, external beauty certainly important, but more important is inner beauty, warm-heartedness, truthful, honest. Then these are the inner beauty. So the marriage, both partner with inner beauty, then long-lasting marriage. Marriage took place on the basis of just superficial beauty, external beauty. At the beginning, I think mad love. Then after few weeks, few months, oh, there are some problems. So the inner beauty is very, very important. Yeah. So now they point some kind of spirituality without religious belief. Simply use our wisdom and also observe. Then you can take a conclusion. Oh, for life, also in our life, you see these inner quality is the very important factor in order to carry happy life, happy family, and through that way, happy society. And further, happy humanity. Just sort of fully committed about making money without these inner value. That I think not the right way. Obviously, we have this body and mind. For body comfort, physical comfort, yes, we need material values. But material value will not provide comfort on mental level, emotional level. I think when you see people get more money or become a millionaire or billionaire, you get some kind of because of the happiness, joyfulness, and feel happy. But that's temporary. You see, just money, just external values never give satisfaction for your greed. Always want more, always want more. So content, right? Content. Person who have content, actually mentally really rich. Person who have no contentment, always want more, too much greed. And mentally always remain poor, like that. So therefore, just material development, your energy, mental energy, physical energy, used for material development, I think that's a little bit extreme. We must take care about mental comfort. Now here, physically, all the facility there, but a person who passing through mentally some kind of painful experiences, too much worry, too much anxiety, then that physical comfort cannot sort of subdue that serious sort of feeling. Other hand, physical difficulties, physical sorrow, even if it's a physical pain, sometimes you see, can subdue by mental comfort. sometimes physical difficulties even bring deeper satisfaction at the mental level. So obviously, we have two things: physical level experience and mental level experience. Between these two, mental level experience is more serious than physical level experiences. Then now mental level. Usually you see people, even I think among the sort of scientists, now so far, the Ongvishevada, Yiru Topashura, interesting. No. So far, you see, among the scientists, scientific sort of research seems to say, now translators.
Mike,
Oh yes.
thank you. His Holiness was making the point that even if you look at Western science or psychology, the conception of the mind is really dominated more by sensory experiences. And there is no distinction made between the sensory modalities and the mental processes.
So we, you see, usually mental experience, I think too much relying on sensorial experiences. I think obviously some sort of, what's the day, kind of sports that provide some temporary joyfulness in mental level through the eye consciousness, seeing.
Seeing it through the visual experience.
Then music, through ear consciousness, you see, you get some satisfaction. Similarly, taste, smell, physical touch, including sex. So these very much based on sensorial experiences. So those facility, so long those facility there, some satisfaction there. As soon as these are also the conditions no longer there, then no longer some kind of satisfaction in the mental. So therefore, you see, people recently, I think 2 years ago, I of course among sort of my sort of also the meeting, one Indian family with some young, not very young, I think college student like that. And then we just used to talk. And they asked me, do you see often television? Watch television. Yes, in many years ago, yes. Even if I love visit cinema hall. But then last, you see, I think 2-3 decades, not much interest. My sort of informer about world event is BBC radio. I always listen. Besides that, I don't see
I don't watch
television.
No.
I don't watch television. So I told that. Then that two young sort of Indians, I think college students. Then how you can spend time? So that indicates they really spend time watching television. Without that, they feel, oh,
not knowing how to pass the time.
oh. So that's the lack of understand or lack of awareness, the sensory level of experiences and deeper mental level of experiences. Look, I mentioned the hermit,
soms nou. Kesa
In
soms.
Barcelona,
Kesa soms.
yesterday or day before yesterday.
Kesa kanas nou.
Uh,
Thomas Merton.
of course, some new people here, so no problem. You see, one time in Barcelona, I met one Catholic monk, you see, who spent 5 years in a hermit life. So no television, even food, not hot meal, bread and some drink like that. So when I met him, I asked, I was told, you spent 5 years in the mountain, like hermit life. I asked, what kind of sort of practice? And he told me, meditate on love. When he mentioned that in his eye, some kind of special sort of
Expression.
very nice, warm sort of expression. So he used the ability of mental level, not relying on sensorial experiences. Like faith, not sensorial level, not depend on sensorial level, and also practice of compassion and deeper meditation or deeper analytical meditation, all mental level, not sensorial. So when you, now for example, when you look at me through eye consciousness, you get sort of the picture or appearances. Then close your eye. Then that picture reflect. Now no longer eye consciousness working, but the reflection on mental level. The sensorial level consciousness, no ability, this is my old friend, or this is educated, or such and such. No ability, sensorial consciousness. Sensorial consciousness bring only information, or
Information.
or then mental level judging. So when you close your eye, then the picture, actually, then the picture which you experience is, now for example, when you look at me with this head, then after close your eye, now no longer the head. But then the reality change, momentarily changing. But the picture
Image.
of the appearances remain. So even you see today, you get some sort of experience, reflection on your mind. The same sort of picture next day, but the reality must change. Even in some cases, the person may no longer there, but that appearance in mental level still have. That's a because
So that's why the kind of the way in which sensory perceptions operate and the way in which the mental processes operate are different, because sensory perceptions are immediate, contingent upon the presence of the condition in front of you, whereas the mental and very time specific, confined to a time and so on, whereas the thought and mental level experiences can conflate time and also make the discriminations which the sensory processes simply cannot.
So now within mind, the sensorial level of consciousness is just door, getting information. The more important is mental level. Now the experience, actually sadness or painful experience, joyful experience is mental level. So we must make distinction, sensorial and mental level. Then training mental level. That's the proper method, you see, to get peace of mind. So without religious belief, simply awareness, and make sort of familiarize these things, we can change our sort of mental position or mental state. So here, emotion, mental level, not sensorial level. So sometimes it's just some tragedy, some bad sort of event come. You see, an intellectual, or I think sensorial level, or I think mental level, sensorial level. You see, you saw that, you hear that, but then there's a big distinction. This immediate experience out of sensorial information, then deeper level of mental experience, we can make distinction. Some bad event or bad thought or bad news come, but should remain on the surface level, not reach deeper level. So that's one way, you see, to reduce mental level anxious. Sensory, the surface level, intellectual level, understand, now that's bad. We must make effort to overcome that or to avoid that. But try not to reach deeper level. So, deeper level, your mind can remain calm. We have that sort of ability. I think animal cannot do. With help of human intelligence, we can do that. So therefore, this is someone, I think two persons, with the same sort of illness, in same hospital, same treatment. One patient, more ability to think more deeper way. Another, almost you say, become almost sort of slave of sensorial experiences or superficial sort of experiences. Then the other one, and then between these two, someone, the one, you see, who really, you see, the sensorial level experiences, then much pain, much sort of worry. The other one, physically, same pain, but deeper level, try to calm. So that person, physical level, same sort of experience, but mental level, big differences. So this, you see, we can practice, we can do that. So now compassion, the subject of compassion, affection, as I mentioned earlier, mainly biological factor. Yesterday also I briefly mentioned the biological factor, compassion, oriented about others' attitude, appearances. The compassion through training on the seed of biological factor, then with help of human intelligence, human awareness, familiarize, because of that, trained, then that sort of compassion reach another level which now not oriented about others' attitude or appearances, but rather deeper human level. So that naturally be unbiased, objective, that can develop infinite altruism. Biological factor, affection, you see, will not go that level.
The extent long.
Like that. And then also biological factor, affection, very much mixed with attachment. The affection through training, through reasoning, you see, that unbiased, without much attachment. So these things we always discuss with scientists or medical scientists and also educationists like that. This is one level of spirituality. Now spirituality with faith. I think last 4 or 5,000 years, see, in human society, now this is of course from Buddhist viewpoint, in human society, eventually you should develop religious faith. So now question of what is, yes, now what is the relevant religion? Religious faith give us basis of hope when we're passing through difficult period, difficult experience, desperate situation. With faith, still you can keep hope. For example, the person who really because of the genuine faith towards God as a creator. Now, the faith towards God in order to make firm or deeper, is the concept of creator comes. So therefore, really, you see, the deep sort of belief or faith towards God as a creator, then when you're passing through a desperate situation, still, your hope still can remain because all these God created. God is all merciful, right? Or infinite compassion. So all these God's creation, there must be some meaning, there must be some purpose. So it keeps your hope. Tremendous physical ill. Still pray to God, think about God, mentally reduce the kind of serious sort of pain like that. Clear? It works like that. Now, so religion, generally speaking, I think provide us basis of hope. And then also, all these, all major religious tradition always, you see, carry the message of love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance. Now these now showing us when we facing some problems, difficulties, you see, that difficult situation should not disturb our mind. So the method, tolerance. And in order to reduce, because of the hatred, the practice of forgiveness. So all these teaching, you see, try to reduce, because of that. Anyway, do two things. Firstly, try to increase loving kindness. And secondly, is it try to make, try to advise,
Restraint.
they confront these destructive emotions, like that. So this, all religions, all major religious traditions, you see, carry same message, same practice. As I mentioned earlier, that Catholic monk, and also later Mother Teresa, and also see, I think part of your your own community, the Thomas Merton. Wonderful, wonderful people, really. So all major religious tradition, this is so same sort of the purpose, same sort of the potential. Then different philosophy, basically theistic religion, everything created by God as a creator. But another group of religion, without that kind of concept, but rather law of causality, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. That quite similar, that of Darwinian theory. These things not come all of a sudden, or these things come without cause, but rather it is own causes, conditions. And cause also you see as a condition, its own cause. Go that way, Big Bang, at the time of Big Bang. Even before Big Bang, you see the causes, the continuation of the subtle sort of physical level. I think the subtle sort of sumshi,
elementary particles.
always there. So that's the law of causality. So like Jainism and also one ancient Indian tradition, that's Sankhya. There are two, within Sankhya, two groups. One accept creator, one know that kind of concept. So these three, Sankhya, Jainism and Buddhism, these three, no concept of creator, but rather self-creation. So these two fundamental sort of two groups, but all carry same message, same practice, as I mentioned earlier. Then these different philosophical view, you see, same purpose, same aim to strengthening practice of love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, contentment, self-discipline. For these practice, now use different philosophical view. One, oh, you are nothing but part of creation of God. So that, and then God, what kind of God? Infinite love. So the person, you see, that concept, also the boosting, they are sort of what's the interest, or they are sort of because of the enthusiasm to practice, to follow, is God's sort of wish. Wonderful. I think very, very powerful. And this very life created by God. So that means we have some direct contact with God. So more feeling of intimacy with God, more willingness to follow God's
Wishes, no? Wishes, no?
God's wish. Like that. So very powerful. And then from Buddhist viewpoint, that sort of concept also very, very powerful to reduce self-centered sort of ego or arrogance. You see, you totally submitted to God, then the self-centered attitude reduce. Buddhists use method, no independent self, no independent soul, no soul theory, like that. So same purpose, one emphasis, faith. Through that way, reduce self-centered attitude. Buddhists use no independent self. So like that. So then, those non-theistic religions, you see, everything depends on your own behavior, on your own motivation. If you do something good, or something benefit, something helpful to other, that's good action. Good action brings good result. Good result means it brings comfort for you. So the action which brings unhappiness, pain on other, that action brings suffering to yourself. So that's the law of causality. So we do not want suffering. We want happiness. So happiness and suffering not come without cause, but due to its own causes. Causes is helping other, serving other, you get benefit. Harming other, you get negative consequences. So, different way of approach, but all is the same sort of aim. Try to make sensible, warm, sensible human being, like that. So now, why these different sort of way of approach happened last 3,000 years? Because different time, different location, even different climate, due to that, different way of life. So these different teachings come at different time, different location. So now today, I always say, pointing India, one country where all major world religious traditions live together. So therefore, you see, when we look humanity, just human family, one big human family. So within that family, multi-religious family, multi-cultural family. So each person, each community, they have their own traditional cultural heritage, including faith. So it is much better keep one's own faith. So when I give explanation about Buddhism in the non-Buddhist country, I always make clear it is better and safer. You should keep your own faith, your own traditional faith. So sometimes, you see, they change faith, sometimes to create more problems, more confusions. So better to keep one's own tradition. And then remain with your own faith. At the same time, useful to make awareness about other traditions, sort of way of sort of approach, and some special sort of the specialty,
Techniques.
Ah.
Techniques.
some different techniques, or some its own, or say different, or say the unique thing. So these useful. Some my Christian friend, you see, they practice, they utilize some Buddhist way of sort of practice about tolerance, about contentment, and also you see, about compassion, and particularly it's a single-pointed meditation. These things is okay. Whereas we Buddhists also, you see, we found some very practical, useful experiences from Christian monasteries or nunneries like that. Wonderful. And many years ago, you see, we have some program, exchange, some Christian monk, or some Buddhist monk, nun, spent few weeks in Christian nunneries and monastery. And also some Christian monks, nuns, which is spent a longer period among Tibetan monastery or nunnery like that. So very, very useful. One occasion, so one Tibetan monk, you see, later told me, in the first night he spent in the Christian monastery, on the head, the cross there. So he a little uncomfortable the first night. Then first week, second week, then gradually, even he developed some kind of love, some kind of respect. Like that. Make more familiar. It is very, very useful to develop mutual respect, mutual understanding. So it is very, very useful, very essential now these days. Not only past history, but even today, sometimes you see conflict in the name of religion, they are really awful, unthinkable in the name of religion. I think sometimes I jokingly telling people, you see, the same religious belief, like Catholic, Protestant, or Shia and Sunni, the same belief, still some fighting. I think both sides pray to Allah or to God. So sometimes with respect, I a little bit sort of jokingly telling people, God may confuse. This side also praying me. This side also praying me. They themselves are fighting. Now, my bless should go this side or should go this side. So therefore, you see, this is really terrible in the name of religion, killing each other. Very sad. We have sufficient sort of causes fighting. Now religion also now used for further fighting. Unthinkable. So therefore, we really need constant effort to promote religious harmony on the basis of understanding, mutual understanding. Once you learn more the value of other tradition, then any sensible person then feel, oh, that religion also, you see, wonderful. Then mutual respect come. Once mutual respect come there, then mutual learning also is to come. That's really the very basis of genuine harmony among the religious tradition. That I think we need. So therefore, some explanation to those, let's say the non-Buddhist, you see, some useful. Provided when I give a lecture on sort of the multi-religious people, and a certain sort of point, which is something unique, then I usually tell him, now this is the subject, you should close your ear. For example, one of my Christian sort of monk, one friend, Catholic monk, now he no longer.
Brother
Father.
Wayne.
Ah.
Brother Wayne Teasdale.
Oh,
Wayne Teasdale.
Wayne, yes. Wayne, no longer with us. Very nice person, very nice person. I think his teacher grieved Kasati.
Father Beat Griffiths.
Oh.
Beat Griffiths.
Wonderful. Looks like, he spent many years in India, so looks like Hindus, Indian sadhu, actually Christian. So that person, I asked, what is wrong if you accept previous life? And he then explained to me, no, this very life created by God. So then I felt, oh, wonderful. Really, very powerful theory, like that. So then this,
Brother Wayne. Brother Wayne.
Reverend Wayne, now he really, I think, one strong supporter of Tibetan cause. So one time, so he usually practice some sort of Buddhist technique about practice of compassion, forgiveness, these things. Then one day, he asked me about the concept of emptiness, shunyata, and the theory of relativity. Then I told him, should not ask this one. That this is not your business. Don't ask me. Because you see, my fear is, if you see these sort of concepts, you see, make familiar, then it might sort of harmful. They are single-pointed faith towards God. God, absolute, permanent, So from the viewpoint of, let's say, the Buddhist sort of concept, Buddha also relative. So and then no independent self. So some problems there. So like that. So later when I explaining, when I touch some sort of unique thing, then I think I'm just going to kill you.
It might be not a bad idea to bring some earplugs, like as if you are flying.
When I give you some kind of green light, then open. Then red line come and put. So, looks, you see, the theistic religion, non-theistic religion, big differences. If you think. And also, you see, they meet people from these different traditions. You can develop firm conviction. Same potential. Make such a wonderful person. Clear. Like that. Then, so the first one, first
Level
spirituality without religious faith. That I usually call secular ethics. So I always make clear, when I use the word secular, does not mean something disrespect religions. No. According Indian understanding about the meaning of secular is respect all religions and no preference this religion or that religion, but equally respect. And then also respect non-believer. So this is quite wise, quite wise. Some is my friend. They told me any moral ethics must be based on religious faith. In that case, now today, out of 7 billion human beings, 1 billion, little over 1 billion human beings, formally say non-believer. So then, how to get moral principle to those non-believers? Very difficult. They won't accept any religion. Nobody can force that. And difficult to argue. So therefore, these people also want a happy life. Same emotion. So therefore, we must find an approach, way of approach to cover these people also. So it should be universally acceptable sort of method. So only thing is secular way. Not reject religion, but respect. The other day, Wisconsin University, one English professor there, I asked him at our meeting, you have as far as English language is concerned, Englishmen have real authority. So I asked him, what is the meaning of secular? Any meaning of negative towards religion? He said, no. Secular, not any religion, he mentioned. So he gave me one confirmation. So I told him, now you confirmed about my own sort of dictionary. Secular does not mean disrespect religions. So he confirmed that. I'm very happy. So that is the Englishman, really big nose, so his accent, true English sort of accent, wonderful. Like that. So now, It's the only sort of way to approach these non-believer, the secular way, to educate them, to make awareness about this inner value. Actually, the secular ethics is the basis of all major religious tradition. It is very clear, as I mentioned earlier. All religious tradition, you see, carry a message of love, compassion, forgiveness, these things. And in order to strengthen these practice, use different philosophy. Now, the same way, the practice of love, compassion, forgiveness, these things. But method, not use religious sort of belief, but common sense and scientific finding. That's a secular way approach this sort of value. So this actually serving all religious tradition. I think frankly speaking, among religious people also, some corrupted people there. So these are claim religious people, believer, but in deep inside, not much sort of serious. Therefore, sometimes I openly telling religion, sometimes you see, unless you seriously follow religious sort of practice, otherwise religion teaches us hypocrisy, saying nice thing, doing something wrong. So therefore, this also clearly shows lack of basic sort of conviction about these values. If people have sort of real belief, real conviction about these values, then different philosophy, and then strengthening these things. So therefore, the secular ethics naturally be universally acceptable, will be universal. So that should teach in education field. The secular ethics must teach in secular education field. So there are some organizations who really, making effort about these things. Wonderful. Then also the mayor, and some mayor, they mentioned because of compassionate cities.
A Compassionate Cities initiative.
This is really wonderful. Now, really, I think time come. Now we pay more attention about this inner value. So far, we pay more attention about material development. So highly sort of advanced, wonderful. This alone not sufficient. Obviously, because of the highly affluent sort of city society, some moral crisis, some unthinkable events sometimes happen. Therefore, the moral teaching, moral education is something very, very important. Now about Buddhism, the major, the two traditions, Pali tradition, now Burma, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, I think Laos, these are mainly following Pali tradition. Pali tradition. And then China and Vietnam, Japan, Korea, and then Tibet and Mongolia. These following Sanskrit tradition also. Now here, the Sanskrit tradition also, practice Vinaya. So that's a common, the Pali tradition and Sanskrit tradition, same, common. We Tibetan, we usually say, Chinduwa, Nangchangsim, Sangsanga.
So in the Tibetan tradition, we speak of our external conduct being regulated by the Vinaya, the monastic ethical discipline, and our inner discipline being guided by
Or
the
I think,
Bodhisattva
another word
vows.
I think better, the external sorrow, or the, no, I think act of physical, action of physical, action of verbals. Now Vinaya, more details of Karoda, what's a system to discipline. And then mental level, in Bodhisattva Yana, for example, the main precepts, Bodhisattva Yana, not physical contact or verbal contact, but mental contact. So main emphasis, the motivation. So altruistic motivation is the best way. Then Tantrayana means in order to gain the further develop mental level, you see, use some physical exercise or physical energy. We can say that. So like that. So therefore, that's mainly Sanskrit tradition about bodhicitta or infinite altruism, and 6 parameters or 10 parameters. And then Tantrayana, there are different level of Tantrayana practice. Mainly, the real sort of what's the Kasota point is, as I mentioned earlier, using our energy. For that reason, some physical sort of exercise, breathing control, these things. And basis of these practice, basis of that practice, visualization. So these things you see,
Involved.
these 3, I mean, no, I don't know now. They, so you see, basically Sanskrit tradition and the Pali tradition. Sometimes, you see, we, again, due to lack of understanding, then the so-called Mahayanists look down, Theravada. And the Theravada response, Mahayana is not true teaching of Buddha. So this, I think, a lack of communication, lack of knowledge. Yeah. Sometimes I mentioned about 2 years ago on World Parliament of Religions, that meeting took in Sydney. So there are 2 Burmese monks there. So these 2 Burmese monks used to want to see me. So I always have deep sort of respect or admiration. Burmese sort of was the Buddhist tradition. So then, before I received them, I also used to put my own yellow robe like that. And then, very nice 2 monks. So then we sat down. Then the 2 Burmese monks told me, oh, we are a follower of same teacher, Buddha. However, we have big differences. And I immediately felt, oh, now these 2 monks, I think, get the impression Tibetan Buddhism is not true Buddhism, but Lamaism. And you see, drinking alcohol with the wife, like that, and without discipline. Right? Then I immediately felt that. So then I explained, yes, there are some differences, but our main practice, main basis of our practice is Vinaya, monastic discipline.
Monastic discipline. Yeah.
Then I told more detailed explanation. According our monastic sort of system, precepts, 253. They are about 220 or something like that. So, more detailed discussion. Then these two monks, you see, they will show me, oh, you also have this practice, that kind of thing. So therefore, you see, sometimes you see they, due to lack of communication and just some impression from distance. And then, on top of that, some Western scholars in 20th century, I think in early part of the 20th century, I think described Tibetan Buddhism is Lamaism. There's the superficial impression. In Tibetan society, too much emphasis about Lama, Tulku. That sometimes I think quite dangerous. Suppose I'm highest Lama. So it is nothing wrong to criticize more. I myself is a Lama and to criticize about Lama system or Lama institution. Unless you follow properly. There's advantage. It's more people. Now, for example, to me, some people say, or living Buddha. Some people say the reincarnation of God of mercy, right? Our Avalokiteshvara. Then, of course, if I manipulate, I can manipulate. It's dangerous. So people not concerned seriously about the real qualification of Lama, teacher. Without knowing that, just a name, then there's a real danger. So some people, some Tibetan Lama, actually exploitation, sex exploitation, and also money exploitation actually happen. Not only Tibetan Lama, but also some Zen masters also, you see, making disgrace themselves like that. Like that. So therefore, this is not only is a Tibetan case, in Buddhist case, also some other traditions, there are people also like that. So therefore, this so-called hidden tradition, minor tradition, sometimes the people, you see, get impression something different. Totally not. Totally not. Pali tradition is the basis of Buddha Dharma. Then Sanskrit tradition is on that basis some sort of reason
So on that basis, Sanskrit tradition has greater emphasis on the development and understanding of reason and the use of critical faculty and so on.
Oh. So then Tantrayana. Tantrayana is actually secret doctrine. Secret means not something to hide, no. But you see, without properly trained, then some practice using our energy. Now, for example, there are some practice. You see, pressing these two main veins in order to reduce grosser level of consciousness. If that, without proper experienced person's guide, then there's real danger to die. So suicide. So such things. And then also, you see, the deep sort of breathing and control, that also, you see, unless properly guided, you see, it causing some illness, like that. So therefore, it mentioned secret sort of doctrine. You see, in India, like Nagarjuna, Aryadeva, all these great sort of Nalanda masters, they also practice Tantrayana, but never publicly. In Tibet, I think we too much freedom. So we publicly sort of talk these things. Oh, yeah. So now, so then 7th century, Buddhism reached Tibet. In Vietnam, 1st century. So there are senior Buddhist, Buddhist student. We are younger. And whenever I give teaching to Chinese Buddhists and now Vietnamese, I always begin salutation because they are senior, we are junior. And meantime, I also say, as a little sort of teasing, as far as knowledge is concerned, sometimes junior student not bad. I think mainly the person who introduced Buddha Dharma in Tibet, 7th, 8th century, he was top scholar of Nalanda institution, Shantarakshita. Judging his sort of writing, great philosopher, and also great logician. You see, he wrote, at least he translated his writing into Tibetan, 2 books. Umajyan, that Tongyi Kwatse. That the Same Dekona Yuba. That Mushidum de Sostoa, and the Kanda, Same Namsha Shusung Shanch.
The first one is known as the Ornament of the Middle Way, which is a treatise on the Middle Way philosophy of emptiness. And the second one is known as the Compendium of Principles of Epistemology, which is presents the different philosophical views of classical Indian thought, but with greater emphasis on the theory of perceptions and many of the epistemological issues.
So since he was the main person who introduced Buddhism on the request of Tibetan emperor, so I think our tradition, and then of course all the major texts which we study, all wrote by Nalanda masters through generations. For example, my own case, when I start my study at age 7 or 6, 7. Then mainly is memorize those root texts which wrote by Nalanda masters. So me, as a sort of very hopeless, lazy student, as a compared to memorize these texts. So that's our major sort of our tradition. All big, the monastic institution go like that. So therefore, we really rigorously sort of study. Firstly, memorize. Then each word explain. And then debate. Dialectic way debate. So a lot of questions raised and then debate, go like that. So it is quite profound way for study. So therefore, I always is telling people, Tibetan Buddhism is truly true lineage of Nalanda tradition. This Divamgara Shirijana,
Author.
Karsaju, Pusonso Bangalayu, Churizo Sahorkevi, Chanju Samba Shizu Chungwe, Marmin Zaveshal Sound, Seni, Kanda Choji Bangala, Girich, Chanju Samba Shizu 다 가서 그게 규르디 되지버리.
The author of this text, Dipamkara Shirijana, was actually born in Bengal, ancient India in Bengal, and he was born into a royal family in the Bengal area, and also had a family connection through lineage with Shantarakshita.
George, this order also, I think some period he also studied in Nalanda. Then later his main was the sort of the
Monastic center. Monastic center.
or is Birkamala Shila. Shantashantinda, Nendi Chi Shusudi, and Pelu Sudijare, Kasurbe, the Lungyunda, any Shelung Gunseni, Tindian Guding as a Zigare. That's something the Shashabakudune, the Shelungi, the Lungyang said the Yamare, Gobulugi, Sungi Zashizane, Shelunda Lungyun, the need of Pajamare. None of you some the Shegu, any the Sanja Janglia, Shelung Tobiaris, Chazanga, Gobulu Gobo Chishim with Kimache. Loving Lending, Lungjama to Sayamaris, Chazanga Gobo Chishim, Makimache, Sanja Jang Sung Show, Doctors Kapoy. The was a shady. Sakanda, Lungyunda, she used a lost game every. Dining as she's to the Pearlia, any. Kadami Shundi, the Dog Shipfugay, Casoli, Chenya, Yaurja, and Dalia, any Shelung Gundi. That's those casual Sigundoa. Nay, Shelung Gun, she was TV, the Casacani Shelung Chicta, Zani, Saduseni, down Nedi Shelung Shusidi, second session within the Shivery. Second session with Lamdrung, Shelung Nabicadulia, Halam, Lamdrung, Deva. Benjamin Shuyang Zashav, the Halam Tudol Shachama, Chinason. What did she?
I received explanatory commentary transmission on this text from Segon Sensha Rinpoche, who, when giving this transmission, was almost able to, recite from heart the commentary on this particular root text written by Benjamin Lobsang Chögyam. This relates to a tradition or a custom that became established in Tibet, where we make distinctions between a simple reading transmission of a text and oral transmission of the reading interspersed with commentary. Although if we were to go all the way back to the Buddha, whether there was such a distinction between reading transmission versus explanatory transmission exist or not is open to question. And in fact, I tease, for example, even at the time of Nagarjuna, whether Nagarjuna actually had a distinction between a simple reading transmission versus a commentary, explanatory transmission is again open to question. Sometimes I tease the Tibetans that this distinction is probably our own later invention, and maybe because if Nagarjuna simply read it and Bhava Viveka's interpretation was based on simple reading, whereas Buddha Palita's interpretation was based on not simple reading but also further. And Buddha Palita's approach represented not just the simple reading but also explanation as well. I'm saying this because historically there was a difference of divergent of reading opinion on interpreting Nagarjuna's thought between these two great masters who were commentators on Nagarjuna. So I was simply teasing Tibetan. But whatever may be the case, in Tibet, the tradition evolved where emphasis was placed on when you approach and study a text to first receive all transmission of not just reading but also explanatory reading as well. And I have personally taken that tradition very seriously and made attempt to receive explanatory oral transmission of many different texts from different traditions. And in this case, I received the transmission from Sekong Tsensha Rinpoche, as explained before.
Yeah. Ada the lung the law in a hunter, no lung on it. Jaga to Buddhi Pada, Paniban, Purka, Langitrama, Chansu Samajamation, you want a chance of laws. To some Java Tamja, the Tay, she can know the question be charged at Loman, some Chansu, you could do a vision like a drama of the sour chance. Janita, that then you Sandy, Chansu Langi dramas. That Digi, Changchuk, Sadi, Drajetche. 톱졌지. 다 톱져 청축사 렉자견알이야. 그 부디 사디기 지 빼마 개바다. 지 든rel이 줘야 돼 봐. 가다 개베를 줘야 돼 봐. 양지 그게 멤버사와 지 든rel이 줘야 돼 봐. 지금. 사다디 가서 로자 벽에 넣어서 줄이는 자네. 아니 그 세신 청야. 연대 똑바 딱 공도 딱 갖다 방자 장야 장신 자야 아니 똑바 연대 아니 응원도 주니 추가 저는 정축사 지금의 지기 그 주나도 와 자, 다되게 정축사들 지르니 년도지 정주 라산지의 정주 특징의 정주 선의 정주 숨쉬게 하래 다 그 시진기 흉 나로래야 되게다 년도그 리전의 주스 가서 랑제그 리전의 주스베 리전스니 아다 토용도 와 삼바자치 중앙 도센다 태버를 무슨 시리아래 자 인도 청주를 되는데보다 청주 랑랑게 아니 람지트바 탈투비 네거기 이 청주 숨셰 단 되는 가도 청주디 청주 전부 사지고 하는 든든데보다 청주 대 드르르체베 다 탑섬 람 청주 든든데보다 람대 치즈마로 보게 시험체야 아니 그게 다 가소래 다 제대로 남래야 마도바도 로버도 같은데 member
So we read from the text. The title of the text is A Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, and it begins with the first verse, which reads, I pay homage with great respect to the conquerors of the three times, to their teaching and to those who aspire to virtue, urged by the good disciple Changju Wu, I shall illuminate the lamp for the path to enlightenment. So in this first stanza, the title of the text is presented, which is the lamp for the path to enlightenment. The enlightenment is here the object of aspiration, and then the Sanskrit word for enlightenment is bodhi, which Tibetan translators translated as changchup, which is composed of two syllables. And the original Sanskrit word bodhi has a connotation of flourishing or fully being developed or full blossoming, as well as a connotation of being awakened or and enlightening. Whereas the Tibetan translators created a term composed of two syllables to capture both the meaning of eliminating all faults and limitations, which is the one aspect of the attainment of enlightenment. The other aspect is the total realization of all qualities. So the realization as well as elimination of all limitations together is the meaning of Tibetan word changchup, which is the English word enlightenment is supposed to capture. And this is the object of aspiration. And in the text, when we speak of enlightenment, it can be of three different kinds depending upon the kind of aspiration that the practitioners have. Enlightenment for those inclined towards attainment of the listeners or hearers, Shravakas, arhathood, or the solitary Buddha, or the full enlightenment of Buddhahood. And in this particular text context, the enlightenment refers to the full awakening of Buddhahood, which is the object of aspiration, and the path refers to the means by which the practitioner aspires to attain that goal. And the text is called a lamp because a lamp, just as lamp eliminates all darkness and illuminates everything, in the same manner that what is presented here is supposed to eliminate all kinds of misunderstanding or lack of understanding pertaining to the path and illuminate the path itself.
Oh yeah. That's ne 두순 자와 온래. 다지 지수만 잡으시는 쪽으로 차서로 수사돼. 말 자간에 수 별이야. 단지 온래. 땅에 자가럽게도 신세야 돼. 건주 땡주 부지숨졌 예대가 나리야. 패실 자나는 수 유르디 부지 그스셔이나. 짱은 이슈셔이나. 레마도 셰 용서로 자가를 수 주시다래. 나 디나는 뒤에고 주제야. 직지 배지 빨리 shum네 주셔요. 여서래. 셰 망세디디 렉자네 수 주시다래. 자상어 자르게 두신 손샤든지 셰. 다디 단지 유를 그돌이야. 도마이니 최제게 깨세니. 단지 단 도단지 거리 다리 다소 단지 가리니 그게다 데니숭 쿵 가리인버디 델라도 셰베 치도 응베 데니나 잠벨데자 주산자야 도데 데니나 에네 직상이도 시주사바 뇌 데니나 탐제치마도 자자로 세니 데니지기 주차리야 데니스 거래 세니 데니지기 샤바시여서
So
다디
So in fact, the Tibetan text opens with a statement of the Sanskrit original title of the text in Sanskrit language itself, which is Bodhipata Paradipa. And the significance of presenting the Sanskrit title of the text is to really respect the Indian origin of this particular text. And if you look at the Tibetan canonical collection, which contains about over 300 volumes, except for maybe around 15 to 20 volumes, which are translated from Chinese sources, the majority are all translated from Indian, classical Indian sources, out of which, for example, in the Vinaya collection, which deals with ethics and monastic discipline, there are a few texts which are also translated from Pali, but other than that, the entire Tibetan canonical collection are really translated from Indian language, Sanskrit, primarily Sanskrit. And then the next, there is a homage to Manjushri, which is a homage made by the translator. And this is to respect a particular tradition that was established by one of the Tibetan emperors, which is aimed at helping the reader understand what particular classification or category this text belongs to. Within the large Buddhist canonical collection, the texts are divided into three main collections known as the three baskets. And the canonical collection dealing with knowledge, Abhidhamma, or those that deal with Vinaya or ethics and monastic discipline, or those that deal with a collection of discourses with a sutra. So if the text belongs to the Abhidhamma category, then the salutation is made to Manjushri, which is the case here. And if the text belongs to the discourses collection, sutra, then the salutation is made to the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas. And if the text belongs to the Vinaya, the monastic discipline class, then the salutation is made to the omniscient mind of the Buddha.
Tenusum sayari, Pali nale tenusum she, Jejalawasung chane tenusum sha, Takana shingi, Lejar chuyu nalole tenusum sha, Chiburisha.
So the division of the Buddha's teachings into the three collections of the three baskets, referred to as Tripitaka or three baskets, is common both to the Pali as well as the Sanskrit Theravada and the Sanskrit tradition. And the division is made with respect to the subject matter and the practices they present. So if the subject matter deals with morality and ethics, then it's Vinaya collection. If the subject matter deals with meditation, then it's the Sutra collection. If the subject matter deals with wisdom, then it is the Abhidharma and the knowledge collection.
다지네 최주디 초숨리야다 쳐버쳐 나샤 다데 뒤숨겨 탐제 다당 사되게 다 마음에 산제 안데 주하다 준주로 봐 얘네다 다 뒤숨세네 대와 다다와 마음 봐 얘네다 마음바디 다른 것도 중요한 말이지 이네 그 중중을 삼다니 마음에 투지 그 샤토로 다 배나 나도 좋아하기도 도스님 다 잘해야 들으지 어떤 게 좋아하면 도수想하다 뒤숨 야와 탐자 다당스 뒤실게 야와 시점 죽된세네 어제 송교하래 박원사되게 교수님과 탐자 다다스 대체스도 처진에 대숭배체 처진에 겨워 줍직체 자 간다다 산지점인데 그 고방원도 제하고라 철전에 용기하러 봐. 나 되게 두체 애는 뭐봐서 산지 고방 톱심배 제라 야 두절 맞춰 땡기요래 내 롱기 쳤대 롱기 총고 애는 될 때네 두지기로 또왜 총고 줄을 깨체 용기 왠지잖아 나한테 데뷔소지 용기하래 대체 긴드나 대대외다 수신도 중매기 주변에 긴드스도 제 겨울 듬바스도 겨울 탈발을 샤니 될 찍도 듬바 자다 탈발에 찍도 듬바지 용어라 아니 탈바 톱 네버지 생문 나로리야 네버 톱지 이 대방구슬도 통소나 아니 대방구슬도 통 빠져 가야로 뭐소 빵배 저 톱이 되잖아요 다 타바 중미지기 배데 네버 땜부 톱이 거 봐. 그래서 인도 타바 되니 색하성 책성만 봐. 냠냠부터 하네 답에 타바 되니 실로 링구 요인이잖아요 겨울은 좀 봐서 되게 있어요. 가다 땜부 통을 긴주세요. 다디 다다 신규기 디다 상 답해 다다다 내가 자고 싶으면 좋다. 디 가다 신규기 산제 대다기 투주를 쳐 애니 긴준체네 너는 로바도 밀로베 긴준이 당 대투주기 쳐 디디 다들 신규를 여고 디디 규접체 대라 차차가 과바디 랑니기 애니 규리야 중줄게야게 최근조 남규를 깨인도산에 애니 로베 긴준레치 되네네 다 산제의 투유기 방도 탈침배 최 규는 건도 셔봐도 뒷념도 이는 랑이 메로베긴 둘이야 둘대야 딘제디 랑게 톱저 규베 데뷔게 없어야래 대대비 데뷔게 건도 차베 체도 규적도 없으셔.
So in the salutation of the text itself, the author pays homage to the three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And the text reads that I pay homage with great respect to the conquerors of the three times referring to the past, present, and future. Of course, the future is not here yet, but one can speak of resultant states of Buddhahood as in terms of future Buddhas. And conquerors here refer to the Buddhas, and this is a translation of the Sanskrit term Bhagwan, or Tibetan term Gyalwa, which connotes gaining victory over the four obstructive forces. So the Buddhahood is represented as characterized as gaining victory over these four obstructive forces. And then to their teaching, teaching here refers to both to the scriptural teachings that the Buddha has given, but as well as the resultant realizations that one gains as a result of implementing those teachings that the Buddha has given. And then the phrase, those who aspire to to virtue, is actually a reference to Sangha. And the literal meaning of the Tibetan word Gindun, which is the translation of Sangha, literally means those who aspire to virtue. And strictly speaking, Sangha, true Sangha, refers to someone who has gained a true insight into the nature of truth. So these are practitioners who have attained the path of seeing, and once you gain the realization of the truth, then you become fully aware of the possibility of attaining enlightenment with a powerful sense of conviction because you have seen the truth. So this is a reference to the Sangha in the form of those who aspire to virtue. And the point of the making salutation is so that, by making salutations to the Buddha and his teachings and the Sangha members who embody them, these teachings, you also awaken in yourself the seeds for realization of the Dharma within yourself, which then makes you become a member of the Sangha. And when that quality of the Dharma becomes fully awakened and developed, then you yourself become a Buddha. So the purpose of seeking refuge in the three jewels is to make it possible for you to become awakened so that your own resultant three states of the three jewels become a reality for you as well.
Oh yeah. That 충분히다 쇼유비 기부숨도 셔버자스. 전에 다되게 무시다 무시다 슝샤바디 말에 다되게 내가 도덴디 아니 기부숨 도니 가서 다 기부숨게 남시게 인송데 다 될래야 안도 좀된데 지송도와 뭐서 간에 되는 숨부대 담바 기부숨게 제베이 가담 리지스기 차원데 로한 거 장야 동요주스 전에 송샤야 돼 다간다 고불루주기 아니 리지 차원을 소는 신 에는 거란즈 기부 동해메도보다 대원되버지 인신샤다 다 내가 동해주 동해 그 소축 잡부대 냠뇨 드리지기 먼저 편소 주야 다 먼저 룰 때네 아니 처를 남지기 싫어고 자 장미 아니 내리 주야 전에 어떤 되든 내가 온것도 터도 내리 니체 된데다 내가 온것도 터도 내리라야 민주상 방배 탈바다 시주야 방배 아니 청주 첨부체님 된데다 그게 다 줍지기 다 단다디디 같다는 숨나 다 여대셔 다 들으려 되는 숨기 다 라도나니 냠린체가 그도라 로이 지 규주 나당도 뛰네 아니 냠린체고레스 규 몸에버지기 람텀부지 냠린체도야 연구 말해 자 근데 빼는 가서 지단게 신용게 롭좀 샤지 뭐 있나야 지 심해 롭좀 매버지리야 아니 남산배 릭지간지 롭좀 샤싱인데 그 용투야 말해 배드는 시체니 진짜 당군이 버스번에 지내야 르베르베게 아니 나망나마 장셔버디 실샤베 돌아네 오모오메 아니 신 사버디 내배경 두스 조고요 아래 배드는 시체니 간단냐로 로 림지 장고 그래스 근데 인도 로 정야기 로이 내세로 배 유수로 그 차네 아니 기부 중우 기부 진 기부 첨부 숨체 에노 기부 충유람, 기부 징글람, 기부 첨별람 전에 또 숨으래. 사진에 인도자네 기부 숨을 남기는 거 되네. 애는 땡 인도자네 너나 되는 숨을 주셔 용서거디 강사지기 그림 맞춰 전에 냠내치 돼야지 숨되게.
So then in the next stanza, stanza 2, the author presents in summary the subject matter of the text when he writes, understand that there are three kinds of persons because of their initial, middling, and supreme capacities. I shall write clearly distinguishing their individual characteristics. So the subject matter of this particular text is the presentation of the path to enlightenment in tune with the mental capacities of the practitioners classified in terms of the initial, middling, and the highest capacity. And this is, as Dromtonpa mentions in one of his texts, that the Master Atisha's instructions uses the framework of the practices of the three capacities, the three scopes, to bring together essential teachings contained in the three baskets, three scriptural collections, so that they are appropriately applied in tune with the capacities of the individual practitioners. And similarly, in Nagarjuna's Ratnavali, a precious garland, Nagarjuna speaks about how the spiritual practitioners have two aspirations, two objects of aspiration. One is the temporary attainment of a fortunate birth. The other one is the ultimate attainment of enlightenment. And by engaging in practice of morality grounded in faith, one will be able to fulfill the temporary aim of ensuring better rebirth. And then on the basis of such fortunate existence, human existence, one will then be able to apply the faculties of wisdom, and through that use of wisdom, one will be able to attain and fulfill the aspiration to attain the highest enlightenment. And the method of gaining both of these aims are presented by the Buddha in the three scriptural collections. And when we bring the teachings of the Buddha together to really apply in our own individual practice, then it becomes important to make sure that we practices the teachings appropriate to whatever level we are at. For example, when we educate children, we ensure that children go through the grade schools first so that they have a basic education. Without such basic education, we cannot expect to educate someone in a very specialized, advanced field of, say, PhD or research. So we have to take the children through grades to have a basic grounding and basic education and train them in the critical faculty and then expose them to higher advanced learning. In the same manner, when it comes to the practice of Dharma, one needs to approach appropriately to whatever level one has. So therefore, what the Atisha does in this text is to bring all the teachings of the Buddha within the framework of the practice of the three scopes, the initial, middling, and the highest, so that all the teachings of the Buddha contained in the three baskets can be relevant, made relevant to a single individual in a progressive path to enlightenment. And this is why this is why in this particular text the teachings are organized according to the framework of initial, middling, and advanced capacities.
Oh yeah. Now time for lunch.